Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for another Game Week 9 preview. Today, I'm joined by FPL expert FPL Salah, who's going to give us some tips and advice for the upcoming game week. Abdul, it says that you have a red arrow on screen. In reality, it's more of a grey, really. How was your game week 8?
Yeah, it's another frustrating one, Jack. It's just not been able to really kind of get going this season. As I said, I had a good few weeks, but then since then, it's just kind of been in limbo, hanging around like the 2 million mark. Game week 9 now, so I think I really need to start kind of pushing on now. And yeah, if I don't kind of get with that million mark by the next few game weeks, then yeah, I think it's probably time to start worrying a little bit.
Really? Wow. But I mean, you didn't use your wild card, right? Which a lot of people did, including me. So that's a benefit because you've maintained rank, I guess, with a lot of people that did wild card. I mean, I got very similar points to you. And despite the fact that, I mean, the majority of your team didn't do that well, you've still done all right. You've got just like the tiniest of red arrows. Pickford doing well. What are your current thoughts on the outlook of your team as it stands?
Well, this week, Jack, I mean, if you look at my team for Game Week 9, it almost kind of looks like a free hit team. And I know before anybody says it, I know I've got two Man United mids there still, but I'm not going to get a lot of comments regarding them, but this is probably the last week I keep them, and I think I've got to keep them for Sheffield United. Yeah, I've just been roped into the fixtures. I think I've been a bit unlucky not to get more returns out of them, but United haven't been playing well, Jack, at all. So it's just one of those where we talked about last week is, when do you decide to kind of, cut the cord on good for FPL assets, when they've got good fixtures. But I've got to give them Sheffield United away next. And yeah, apart from that, I think the team looks great. Obviously I've got Saka there, who's an injury concern. I also got Alvarez, who's going to return back late from international duties. So there's a bit of uncertainty there as well with him starting against Brighton. So yeah, I guess, I mean, this week, it's going to be all about press conferences and, looking out for team news.
So how many free transfers do you have?
I've got one free transfer, right?
One free, right, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty certain, I'd say 95%, that I'm going to play the wild card in Game Week 10.
Okay. So that obviously gives you kind of punt opportunity this week then?
Exactly, yeah. So I'm thinking of, I've got a few things in mind. So I guess if Alvarez is okay, and it looks like he's starting, because we might get early team news because City play on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So Saka is the weak link there. He probably should be fine in terms of his injury, but Chelsea away, isn't the best fixture. I mean, I know Chelsea have been poor, but they've actually been good defensively, Jack.
Yeah.
The top three for the goals conceded and expected goals conceded. So that's not a easy fixture, and it's obviously a derby as well. So currently, I'm looking at something like Saka to Gibbs-White. Forest have got Luton. Saka to Diaz or Jota. Diaz is another one who played in South America and who might be back late. So that might be a bit of a risky one. But then Jota is a good option there. And yeah, so I mean, even Foden. If we get early news on Foden, against Brighton, that Brighton team concedes a lot of goals. So there's a lot to do there. But then obviously Alvarez as well. Like if Saka has ended up being fit, and then I've got Alvarez is my biggest fire. Then because I've got a zero in the back, there's really not a lot of places to go there. I mean, Awoni would have been perfect. He's got Forest at home, but he's injured. Then, honestly, you're looking down at them. You've got Solanke, who's he got? He's got a tough fixture. He's got Wolves at home. Which is, I suppose, decent, but I don't know. Not really. That one is really kind of exciting me. Then you've got Chris Wood, who will probably play, instead of Awoni. So there's not really many exciting options, if Alvarez is out. So I'm hoping we get early news and he's fit, and then I can make the Saka transfer to somebody.
I think the thing that's interesting is because you have Botman on the bench now. Yeah. Even if Alvarez. I'll come to how close you are to nailing down that wildcard 10 spot in a second. But say even if Alvarez was out, in theory you could just play Botman anyway and then still make the Saka to whatever midfield punt you wanted, because you still got the punt there. Yeah. So I don't know. Thoughts about that?
I could, yeah, but they're still uncertain that Botman plays.
Yeah, true.
There is that as well. So I could be left with either Archer at Man United at home. Or Baldock, who's probably not going to even be fit. So if obviously Baldock was 100% fit, didn't have that injury concern, then yeah, it seems like a perfectly fine move to play Botman at home to Crystal Palace. Newcastle got the highest chance of keeping a clean sheet this week against Palace as well. So yeah, that would have been great. But I guess obviously if we get news that in Eddie Howe's press conference that Botman is fit, I know that doesn't probably mean much to a lot of people. Eddie Howe's press
It's
conferences.
better not to listen to that rubbish,
But
honestly.
to be fair to him, he was honest last
It's
time,
true.
and we all doubted him. But this is like the boy who cried wolf.
Exactly. I was literally about to say that. Who cares if he's honest? It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, he's totally got us FPL managers bamboozled, doesn't he?
100%.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think we can take anything Eddie Howe says with with any certainty. So yeah, there's a few options there, but at the moment, yeah, I think Saka looks a likely one to go. And yeah, and the replacements for Saka excite me a lot more than the replacements for Alvarez.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you are going to punt, I mean, I'm just looking at the predicted points for forwards in the next game week. Like Wissa's top. It's really not that inspiring, especially
Yeah,
him that you have in Burmo. I mean, obviously it's an option, but would you rather go with Wissa or someone like a Foden or a Diaz or even a Gibbs White at home to Luton? Probably the plum possible fixture.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are all better options.
And I had a look at Wissa, but then I just looked at his minutes, and this is really he got taken off in the 69th minute, the last game week, and I thought, okay, maybe there's a bit of concern there now, and he's only had like an assist in the last like 6 games, so again, not really one that kind of excites me. Burnley at home is a good fixture though, but yeah, I just really like the replacements for Saka. I mean, they've got a lot more upside, I think. Like to Jota against Everton at home. Diaz, if he starts, Foden, again, another one who can haul really big. I can't really see Wissa or, Solanke or one of these guys like Chris Wood, kind of ripping up trees, excuse the pun.
Very
but,
good. Very good.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm hoping Alvarez is fit so I can do the Saka move.
Sure thing. I mean, yeah, the team looks really strong this week. Obviously not going to wildcard that team. As you said, it looks like almost like a free hit team.
Yeah.
So then how
week as well though. Said that last week for the team and didn't do the wild card. But I mean, I only lost about 6-7 points to the average wild card score. Yeah. So disaster. If the United midfielders return this week, Jack, I could make those points back because nobody on wild card this week or those who played last week is going to have United midfielders. Very few of them. I saw very few teams with Bruno Rashford. With Bruno Fernandes. But none of them are Rashford. And the ones I've seen with Bruno is very, very few. So yeah, I need them to turn up this week.
Yeah, I mean, we said it last week, but probably this week more than any, it's up to those two. If they go big, then you could all the patience, the value lost, it wouldn't matter because it's you get the points back. Yeah, it looks good. Now I will ask you though, how nailed is Game Week 10 wildcard? Is it 100% locked in?
I'd say so, Jack. Yeah, because I mean, the only way I don't use a wild card in Game Week 10 is if I save the transfer this week, which on paper I could save, and then I can make do 2 free transfers to bring in Salah for -4, maybe for Son or somebody. But I've had it set in my plans for quite a while now. I don't really see I think the benefits of going for the Game Week wildcard 10 are really outweigh saving it for my team because I've got no Liverpool, I've got no Villa. And I really need to capitalise on those fixtures. And West Ham have got good fixtures as well. Might want one of their players. So yeah, I guess you could say it's 99.9%, Jack, that I'm going to wildcard in Game Week 10.
Fair enough. Okay, so like more kind of meta. What was the main reason as to why you didn't wildcard in Game Week 8? Because clearly, I mean, like I did, and now looking back at it, it perhaps looks a little bit not like panicky, but a little bit short-sighted. Perhaps maybe it was better just to roll with it, take these 2 game weeks. Now looking at your team for Game Week 9, it does look really, really strong. Stronger than my team, to be fair. How did you come to that decision? Despite the fact that United mids were out of form, losing value. I don't know how much you care about team value, especially at this stage of the season, but how did you come to that decision?
I mean, using your wildcard in Game Week 8 wasn't a bad decision, I don't think, even for my team. I think it was perfectly justifiable. But what I was thinking was, I really like the Game Week 10 wildcard because the fixture swings then were a lot more were a lot more kind of volatile, you could say, in terms of the fixtures for United have Man City and Liverpool's fixtures. But then I really just wanted. Everyone was wildcarding. I knew a lot of people were wildcarding, and my rank wasn't too good. And I thought, saving the wildcard would not only, give me that advantage of, Buemo and the Man United mids, who a lot of the wildcarders wouldn't have. They'd be getting rid of them. So I had those differentials there. But at the same time, I don't think it was, it wasn't like I was sacrificing. It wasn't like I had a bad team.
Yeah.
And I was like, just prolonging it for the sake of that. I had a good team on paper for those 3 weeks, Game Week 8, 9, 7, 8, and 9. and I thought, I could save the wild card from Game Week 10 if the United midfielders show up, if Mbeumo shows up. Then it's happy days and I'm laughing. That could still happen, if Mbeumo United mids turn up in Game Week 9, and then I get a wildcard Game Week 10. That kind of puts me in the ascendancy. It puts me ahead of everybody who wildcarded in Game Week 7, 8, and 9. So
Sure.
I need a few things to go my way, but that was the thinking behind it. Was just kind of trying to differentiate myself a little bit from those who wildcarded, which was the majority.
A final question: is there anything in the kind of your back of your mind in terms of waiting until Game Week 19 to use the wild card, just because we have that potential? Well, we know we're going to have a City and Brentford game going somewhere that's going to be missed because of the Club World Cup. It seems likely it would go in. I mean, it's not nailed on, but it seems likely it would go into that week or around that week, Game Week 20, whatever.
Yeah.
But does anything to suggest holding it at all for that?
No, not for my team. I mean, if I was going to make that decision, I would have made it a few game weeks ago. I would have planned to get Salah in, and I would have probably already had Matty Cash in my team. I bought him in last week instead of Pedro Porro. So no, I think I've missed that boat. But I do know a lot of managers who are wild carding in Game Week 19, and for their teams it makes sense. They've planned for it. They bought in the players. They bought in the Liverpool players. They bought in at least one Villa player. So yeah, I mean that could work out, but I just didn't fancy it. I just thought it was way too long, and I thought it was using that wild card to kind of jump on Liverpool and the Villa players, and just kind of set myself up for the next 10 game weeks. From now would have been better. So that's a road I've gone down. Only time will tell what the right decision was.
Fair enough. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this one, mate. Short and sweet, but very interested to see how your team looks next week. I think that next week's going to be a big week for your team in particular. If that wild card is nailed, that's going to be an extended episode next week for sure. In terms of your transfer this week, guys, if you do want to see what Abdul ends up going with, obviously it's going to depend on team news and press conferences. Then your final team reveal will be posted as always on the website, Fantasy Football Hub. Link down below. Yeah, I love the opportunities you have this week. So many fun punts, but they're good picks as well. I mean, the names you're talking about are solid FPL picks anyway. But yeah, if you know they're going to start and the fixtures they've got, I'm looking at the Liverpool and City players especially. Tripling up on City, at home to Brighton. If we know that Alvarez starts, you can get Foden in as a one-off. Oof, that is very tempting. Very tempting indeed. Yeah. But anyway, mate, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week for Abdul's Wildcard.